you've got kind of a frame question. So just drop your question out for everybody to say.
Right. So basically, long story short, lost a fight. Girl I was kind of, interested in. She lost all respect for me. I don't really need to. I can kind of guess, put two and two together. What that kind of comes in. But
how do you lose a fight? I don't understand how that happens.
Oh, long story short, there was a off-campus, invite bonfire. Theme was, fight night because of the Jake Paul thing, I think. And
oh, you mean you actually lost a physical fight with somebody else?
Yeah, but it was kind of a playful fight. It was like us friends, two pitted. Each man is given one boxing glove to kind of water it down. It was, but other fights got more heated.
This is like that clip on the Joe Rogan Experience that I shared on TikTok where that chick dumped her boyfriend because he lost the MMA fight.
Yeah,
I was hoping you were dancing around the issue.
It is exactly like that issue. Arguably, I lost.
Well, now you see. I mean,
yes. But anyway,
women don't care about your struggles; they hang out at the finish line, right?
Right, and I completely understand that, so I don't need to really understand that. But basically, it kind of led to the next question, which is. And I mentioned on the last show with you, Rich and Paul, frame was something that I'm really trying to work on and I struggle with. And when you can't really, like in your example, Rich, when you just, pulled that wheel, said, get the fuck out, it's very, me included, it's like, I admit I would hesitate to do something like that because I've been conditioned to, like I said, my question, almost fear a woman's wrath or like the repercussions of that. And it's, I guess the big question is when it comes to frame is how do you overcome fear of women,
What are you afraid of?
I can field this one if you want.
Well, at the time I was listening to a lot of Snoop Dogg and NWA and it just like was in me, man. I was listening to it on.
Me too.
Go ahead, Ryan.
That's right.
Well, here, Sam, did you have like a strong dad growing up?
Short answer, no.
Okay.
But
teachers. I'm going to guess most of your teachers were probably chicks too. Not a lot of male teachers.
You have no idea. Older sister, mom, homeschooled K through 12 by my mom.
Yeah.
Catholic. By the way, your religion book is.
Oh, you like it?
Just started it. It's probably going to be my favorite because of that background for me.
Thank you.
But here, if this makes you feel better, this is surprisingly common.
I know it is.
Yeah, this is literally, and this is why you're having such a problem with it. It's literally because of mental models. Mental models are just, the human brain thinks in narratives. We think in stories. And the ones you were raised with, which are usually involved, they call them failed parenting strategies. Dr. Glover talks a lot about this in No More Mr. Nice Guy. The idea is usually without strong father figures, mothers, because they don't have physical strength to discipline kids, they tend to play on identity. If you're a bad boy, this, a good son would do this, you're pissing me off. And it's almost like threatening abandonment. Now, as a kid, you don't have a developed frontal lobe. So what you do is you treat that rejection as a fight or flight fear, which makes sense. Back in the days when our brains were developing, if mom left us in the woods, we were going to get eaten. So you're treating this as a fight or flight response. So naturally, as a good boy, you do what your mother tells you to. You clean your room, you shit like that. And this is all limbic brain shit. So female validation is one of those things that's reinforced. Now, the problem comes is by 4 or 5 years old, I believe it is. These things are kind of hardwired as instinctive in our heads. What you need in these points are guys that offer more stability, saying, yeah, we could be mad at each other, but as long as you do X, Y, and Z, you'll be fine. It's a certain level of comfort that children need to be raised around. Women aren't very good at it, but men are. So you have this model that you've built up since you were 5 years old, which, whatever. You join the military, you get boarding school, you join elementary school. Male teachers would kind of help getting out of your system too, but that's the problem with female teachers, and in your case, the homeschooling. It just reinforces the same thing that you knew as a limbic response since you were 5. Some guys don't make it till like 18, 19 years old till they have a single male authority figure, which they've never had before. The reason that you have a hard time with that rejection is not because you can't think through the problem. We can all tell you exactly what, just say this and you'll be fine. And your frontal lobe agrees, yeah, just say this, you'll be fine. But your limbic brain is still thinking like that 5-year-old kid that's had 15 years of reinforcement to say, if you piss the woman off, you're going to die. And that's why if we were to ask you right now, why is it you can't do this? You couldn't articulate why. You just don't feel comfortable doing it. Think that's fair enough, the way I described it there?
Yes, very. In fact, when you say identity and my mom, I'm no longer, religious, not because for multiple reasons, and I'm spinning plates. I'm doing things, that I'm, been learning for the past 2 years, and my mom is very handling it fairly well, but not happy about it, to say the least.
Yeah.
So, but
Well, here's the
because of
problem,
that
though, is
identity
those-
thing that you mentioned.
Exactly. And those girls, the ones you're dating now, all it takes is one BPD chick who's got a control issue, and that'll crumble that house of cards. This is how those I used to be alpha but slowly became beta guys. This is how it happens. Now, as for your answer, how do you fix it? It's really slowly. It's like the guy who's learning how to walk after he had his spine reattached. You have to practice. And you have to practice very small examples. Like, you can't just start 10 out of 10, kick your wife out of the house, get out of my car, I'm going to the grocery store. You start with the smallest, most insignificant boundary you can think of, and it's going to feel uncomfortable, but because it's such a small boundary, you're going to be able to enforce it, and you're going to have to do that like 100 times. Remember, it's took you 20 some years to get here. You're not going to lose it all overnight. But then you're practicing a combination of desensitization, and I don't know the exact term for it, but I've talked about killology. I don't want to ramble about it here, but
habituation, maybe.
Yeah, habituation.
That's what I
that might be
taught Paul.
Yep. But it's the same reason that when Paul goes to shoot at silhouettes on the target range, he doesn't worry on the battlefield about shooting a person, because to him it's just the silhouette. He's got that brain pathway, and he's repeated it enough. It works perfectly, and you essentially.
I'm more
just have
annoyed
to
when
do
it's a
that.
silhouette.
Oh, exactly.
If there's one more thing that I can say before I head out is, because if I'm confronted with a girl and she starts disrespecting me, I have no frame of reference. And I know one easy way to say is, get better male friends, which I am working on and have.
I have an answer for this.
But basically, I have no frame of reference of like what to say. What do you do when a girl disrespect, or anyone for that matter? And my two friends who I have, they basically, their biggest thing is about like, I can't stand when someone disrespects me. And I know the difference is they have an ability to be angry. If something that's very unique to me that I've noticed with any male friend I've ever had or any other guy, is I have no anger issues.
Dude,
I can get
not an issue when you're afraid to be angry. Let me throw something out here. Here, listen, man. All right, so if you're going to do public speaking, right, and you were kind of nervous about public speaking or whatever, what would you do? You practice in front of a mirror, right? You would figure out what you're going to say. You maybe practice in front of a small audience, and you go out there and do it. That's what we call rehearsals. So a lot of times what I'm doing, like with guys, like in my consultations and stuff, when we're doing like mental conditioning, is you go through rehearsals, and so you can rehearse what your response would be. You're not a dumb person. You're a smart guy. So you know what confronting disrespect would look like. We got enough content out here, to tell you, like, hey man, like this is how you would handle this shit test, or this is how you would handle this. And so logically like what to do. The problem is everything that Ryan said is correct. Your limbic brain goes, in the moment, and you don't execute. There's a saying called, we don't rise to our expectations, we fall to our level of training. This is true for military stuff, and this is true for self-defense, having to go kill somebody. This is also true for these little things too, like pickup. The reason why pickup artists will rehearse lines and dumb stuff, you don't need a line to pick up a girl, right? But they rehearse that because they're rehearsing what to do. So when their limbic brain goes, they fall to their level of training, which is the thing they rehearsed. So start rehearsing what it would look like to set these boundaries in these circumstances, and then you'll just cause yourself to do it using Ryan's steps that he mentioned, which is smaller things first and then build up to bigger things. So hopefully that helps you out, man.
Alternatively, listen to some old school, like hardcore, like rap, man, like early Snoop Dogg, some NWA.
Too short.
That's the things that my mom always told me not to do.
Listen to Slayer too.
And stop listening to your mom too.
And final thing,
that's
though,
probably the biggest thing, is the hardest thing that I have.
Go and listen to Suicidal Tendencies. You can't bring me down. There's a little lyric in that you can repeat over and over again when somebody disrespects you. You'll know what it is when you come across it.
By who?
Suicidal Tendencies. You can't bring me down.
Angel of Death.
At the end of this, if you don't know what you do want in a situation, just focus on what you don't want. because you're going to suck. You don't know what you want right now because you've never had the ability to look at it from a masculine lens, but you do know the stuff you don't like. So if you start with there, you'll at least be able to narrow it down to a smaller list of things, and you'll have a much better idea of what you do want with what's left.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to each and every one of you on Rule Zero. I was listening to Paul. I was listening to, Sterling. I was listening to Ro last night, Fresh and Fit. All of you guys are doing amazing work and set my life on a straighter path. So thank you so much.
You got it, Samuel. Thanks for hopping on, man. We'll see you later.
Thanks, fun, man.